Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm really excited to be sharing with you a layout that I've created for Peartree Cutfiles in collaboration with the GoGo Getaway Cybercrop on the 31st of October. So for my challenge, I had to be inspired by a shape. Marie over at Peartree Cutfiles has designed this gorgeous cut file of the moon in the clouds, and that is the shape I am working with. So I've cut the cut file out onto smooth white cardstock, and I've decided that the two larger clouds I'm going to turn into sequin shaker pockets. I'll be completely honest and say that I have a bit of a Marmite relationship, should we call it, with shaker pockets. So I absolutely love the way they look on layouts. I think they look so pretty. They add so much interest and texture to a layout, but I don't enjoy making them myself. I find them really fiddly and I never seem to be happy with the outcome. I always think they look better on other people's layouts. So it's one of those things that, as beautiful as they are, I do tend to leave them to other people and I just admire them from a distance. But for this layout, those clouds were just screaming out to me to turn them into shaker pockets. So I thought I would brave it and give it a go. So I've gone around the back of the cloud, so I'm going to do the two biggest clouds. I've gone around the back with glossy accents, and now I'm sticking a piece of acetate down to that. I've used glossy accents instead of normal PVA glue because I find it's got a much stronger hold. So initially when you use it, it does take a little while to dry, I find, but once it's dried, it holds fast and it won't come off. And that's kind of what you need for a shaker pocket, because if it's not sealed completely and there's hold or things move, then your sequins are just going to fall out. So I've opted for glossy accents. I've stuck my acetate down onto both of the clouds and just trimmed the excess off. And now moving on to the actual pocket itself. So I need the outside edge of the cloud raised in order to be able to hold those sequins in and allow them the freedom to move. So I need to create a bit of space between my acetate, my sequins, and the patterned paper that I'm going to back them with. So I've put a thin layer of foam pads all around the outside of both the clouds, peeled the backs off, and then I've filled them with these lovely pretty little silver star-shaped sequins. And then I'm just using the negative part of the clouds there to trace around to get the right shape, and I'll use this patterned paper to back my clouds. So once you've turned it back over, you'll have the sequins concealed in the pocket, and you'll also see when the sequins move around the patterned paper coming through behind them. So like I said, it's really important to make sure you get a good seal on these, otherwise your sequins are all going to fall out. So I've cut my clouds slightly bigger than I need to. Make sure they're sealed against the foam pads and they're holding, and then just off camera I just go around the edge and just trim off any excess, just to make them a bit neater so that when I turn it over you can't see any overlapping patterned paper. And there we have it. I have successfully made two sequin shaker pockets. So yay for me, because normally I've got halfway through this process and I change my mind and give up. So I stuck with it today and I'm really pleased with how they've turned out. And to complement the silver star sequins I've used in them, I'm backing my moon, and I'm also going to back some of my hanging stars there with a silver glitter cardstock. For the rest of the clouds, I'm using vellum to back them. So I'm just going to draw around the empty space or the negative space, trim that down, and then stick the vellum onto the back. And that's just another material on my layout. It's another texture, just gives it a bit more interest. So I go through and do all of the clouds off camera. I considered doing some of the stars in vellum as well, but instead I've opted to use the same patterned paper that I've used to back the two shaker pocket clouds. I've got the blue side coming through So I've backed some of the stars in silver glitter, some in patterned paper, and then I decided to leave the rest open and to not back them at all. I didn't want to overpower the layout too much and make it too busy, and I thought it looked really pretty with some of them left open because I am going to do some mixed media on my background. As you can see here, I've just placed my cut file and my photo on my layout in the position that they're going to be, and I'm just using a pencil just to mark up the points around the outside of it all, just in preparation for me adding my mixed media. So I haven't bothered to use gesso for this. I don't want a complete colour wash on my background. I like to see some white space through my mixed media. So to get that effect, I just use minimal amounts of water, so I find I don't really need the gesso too much. I've pulled out different inks and sprays and paints in different shades of blue for my background. So I started off with a Distress ink pad that's in tumbled glass. And then I come in with a slightly darker blue, which is Salty Ocean. I think that one's actually a Distress Oxide. I'm using that one to add some splatters. So I'm just building my background up layer by layer, and I'm drying it with a paper towel in between each layer. I didn't want to use the heat tool because I didn't want it to warp too much. So I'm just using the paper towel to take off the excess liquid. And then it makes things like the paint splatters a little more subtle and not quite so bold. So next I've got a Lindy Stamp Gang Starburst spray. This is Sassy Sapphire, this one, and I love this spray. It's got a shimmer to it which looks really cool on the background. And I'm also using a Cosmic Shimmer watercolour paint that is in Golden Aqua, that one, and that's like an iridescent watercolour, so that again has got a sort of sparkle to it. It's almost like a gold sparkle, but not quite gold. It's really pretty. It's hard to explain. Hopefully I'll be able to capture it on the close-ups at the end, but it is really pretty. So I've just used those to add some more splatters to my background. I've used my paper trimmer and trimmed off about 1/4 of an inch on each side of my background because I want to add a silver glitter border just to tie it all together nicely, because I've got the silver sequins, I've got the silver glitter in the moon and some of the stars, so I thought it'd be really nice to have a glitter border as well. And you can never have too much sparkle, so I went with the whole 12 by 12 border of glitter. So I've distressed the edges, used double-sided tape to stick that down, and then just used my thumbs just to go around and distress a bit further. And then I can work on my photo layers. So sticking with the kind of bluey grey silver theme, I'm using the same patterned paper that I've used for my clouds and my stars to back my photo. I've used both the A side and the B side to give it a bit more interest. Oh, just needed some more double-sided tape there. I must admit, since lockdown started, I'm using so much double-sided tape. I just seem to be scrapbooking more because we're not going out so much. So yeah, stay safe, stay COVID-free, and scrapbook more seems to be my new life motto. So yeah, as I was saying, I was just backing my photo there with a couple of layers of patterned paper, and then I cut a few extra of the clouds when I cut my cut file out, and I thought I would place them along the top of my layout. So I'm just sort of placing things down just to see where I might want to put them. I don't want to embellish this layout too much because the cut file itself is beautiful and I really don't want to take away from it. And because I've used so many different textures to back my cardstock, I felt like if I embellished too much, it would just make the layout look a bit too busy and your eye would just be all over the place and not have anywhere to rest. So I'm going for minimal embellishments on this one. Now behind my photo there, I've added a layer of, I believe it's called Deco Web Ribbon. This stuff I love. I've got this in so many different colours. I actually discovered it a few years ago in a shop in the Isle of Wight, and this shop sold loads of floristry bits, and it was in amongst all the floristry items, sort of your cellophane wrapping and things for flowers. So I bought it in every colour, and every time I go back to the Isle of Wight I pop to this shop and buy a load more. And luckily for me now, my parents have just moved over to the Isle of Wight, so I've always got a ready supply of deco web ribbon. If I need it, I can just send my mum over. So as you saw, I've raised my photo up with just a layer of craft foam behind it, and then I've used double-sided adhesive tape, which is like a foamed tape, behind my cut file to raise that up as well off the page. Adds a lovely shadow underneath the cut file, which I thought was quite fitting for sort of a night sky, having a shadow underneath the clouds. So I've raised everything up off the page with foam, and now I'm just distressing the edges of the clouds. I'm going to lay them flat at the top. There's quite a lot of dimension going on, so I've layered these flat, and then I'll embellish on top of those. So once I'm happy with the placement of the clouds, I think about my title. I bought these stickers ages ago with the intention of doing lots of baby layouts from when my son was born in 2017. But sadly, my external hard drive has corrupted, that's got all his baby photos on. So I haven't actually got round to trying to get those recovered yet. Hopefully I can get them recovered, but it means I've got a lot of baby stash sitting around waiting to be used. So I've pulled them out for this layout, and I've decided to go on with the title Sleepy, and they are sort of silver foam thickers, so they're really, really cute and fit my layout perfectly. I thought about adding the word shh down the bottom there because I've got that open space, and I was trying to think of how to fill it, so I thought I would try and do a word on the side, seeing as he's sleeping. Thought it would work quite well. Once I put it there, I wasn't really happy with it. I didn't like it. I didn't think the style of the thickers went with the layout, so I've taken those back off, and I go about trying to embellish the layout slightly now and finding something else to use in that space. So like I said, I'm keeping the embellishing to a minimal on this layout. I've pulled out a couple of little bits of cardstock ephemera, and I've got some metal brads here, some star-shaped metal brads. So I've pulled those out in, I think I had white, blue and silver, and I've got this brad that says Dream, and it's in a lovely shade of blue that worked really well with my background, but I was struggling to find somewhere to place it, so it doesn't make it onto the layout in the end. But I do come across in my stash these paper butterflies that I had die cut ages ago. So I've decided to use a couple of those on the layout just to fill in a couple of the gaps. So I'm colouring one layer with distressed ink in tumbled glass, and then I'm just going around the extremities of the butterfly with Salty Ocean just to give the edges a darker shade of blue. And then I wanted to layer them. I've got one layer of white and obviously the one I've just coloured with blue. I couldn't decide which way round to do it, so I had a bit of a play and decided to go with the white on the base with the blue on top. So I'm sticking the white butterfly down flat, and the one I've coloured that I will sit on top, I'm just going to stick the centre of the butterfly down, so its body, and I'm going to leave its wings free so that they lift up off the page, just again to add a bit more dimension to the layout. So I do one butterfly over on the left there, just under where my title is, and that filled that space really nicely, but I felt like just having one looked a bit weird, so I've brought in a second butterfly, and I'm doing exactly the same thing, colouring it exactly the same way, and we'll layer this one over onto the right in that corner there, and that just nicely puts something in that space. I'm just working on getting all the little bits stuck down now. So I had a couple of bits of ephemera there I'm sticking, and then I've got this circle brad here. It's a proper metal brad that you push through and split at the back, and that says baby in the middle in blue, so that worked quite well. So I stuck that under my photo. I'm still trying to get this dream brad on, but like I said, it doesn't make it in the end. I couldn't find a place where I felt like it fit right. So I've added a couple of star brads as well. Actually, I think I only went with the one in the end, so I've got one at the top there. And then I just reached for some stickers, just little things that I think I can just scatter about, just to add a bit of interest, but not to overpower the layout. So I've got these word stickers by Tim Holtz. These are perfect because they're white with silver writing, so they fitted the layout and my colour scheme really well. So I just have a read through of those and try and pick some that work well with my layout. And in the end, I think I go with 4. So I've got the one under the photo there says smitten, and then I've put 3 on my clouds, and I raise those up onto foam pads, and they say you are loved, love you to the moon and back, and shine brightly. So I thought they worked really well. And then I just finish off the layout by adding some of these epoxy star stickers. They're like see-through, almost iridescent, and the mixed media background really reflects off those in the light, so it's really pretty. And I think, yep, that's me finished. So thank you very much for joining me. Please do head over to the GoGo Getaway Facebook group today, where you can join in this challenge and the other challenges throughout the day. It's a free event, so pop over and feel free to join in. Also, please check out Peartree Cutfiles, because this cut file is now available. It was released this morning as part of the November release. So thank you very much for joining. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. Thanks very much. Bye.